We come to you live with a breaking news report. A black hole has been spotted in motion. It's moving, and it's moving fast towards our solar system. Dear God.
Yeah, so like I was saying, bro, all these people out there,
Yeah, bro,
these people out here, it's crazy.
Nah, that was really
That's how
crazy. Yo, do you see that thing in the sky? What is that? Hello? Hello? Let's talk about space. Space is a space where cool things happen all the time. You have gravitational waves, particles moving faster than light, atoms, comets, meteors, all of these objects, other planets. Some of them may be having life on them. But that's a conspiracy theory and a topic for another video. The fact is, space is very cool, very awesome, very terrifying, very horrifying, very unique. It's all around us. And yet at the same time, there's so much we don't know. A, because the universe is constantly expanding, and B, because we just haven't been able to explore that much as is. I mean, there are so many things that we still don't know that may not even be that far away, but that we still don't know everything about, and that's what makes space so fascinating. And one of the most mysterious and mystifying things that we can find in space that we may know a lot about, but still just seem so elusive, are black holes. I'm not talking about chocolate donuts from Krispy Kreme or Dunkin', and neither of those are sponsoring this video. I'm talking about those giant holes in space that just want to suck everything into their big giant mouth because they're so hungry and they have a bottomless pit for a stomach. Now, we may know a lot about black holes, but they still seem like that thing that's just so fantastical, so mysterious, and it's just so incredible that they even exist at all. The technical definition of a black hole is any area in space where gravity is so strong that even light can't escape its pull. To put it in more scientific terms, the escape velocity is bigger than the speed of light. What does that tell us? Those are technical terms that you may not understand. So let me put it in more basic terms. You got Mr. Light. Now there are some things that you should know about Mr. Light. Mr. Light really wants to go on vacation. He's kind of tired of this planet that he's been on. It has a bunch of life, and he's like, I don't like these people, these living creatures on this planet. They're very antisocial, and I'm very antisocial. So I want to get off this planet as soon as possible and make my home on a floating comet somewhere where I can just chill, basically like my little tropical island vacation, except it's a comet vacation. Nothing like a tropical island, whatever. So he says, I want to leave the atmosphere. The atmosphere is the sphere around a planet here that has oxygen and other things that give us air. It's how we're able to live. It also does other stuff, but that's not the topic of this video. The point is, Mr. Light wants to escape the atmosphere of Planet X. We'll call it Planet X. One other thing you should know about Mr. Light is that he's very fast. I'm not talking Usain Bolt, Tyreek Hill, Noah Lyles fast. I'm talking about a whole brand of fast that will make all of those guys look like sloths in comparison. So Mr. Light is really fast and he wants to go on vacation. So he's like, alright, I'm gonna leave Planet X. He tries, but something's holding him back. It's that force of gravity. Think of the force of gravity as a house that's surrounding the planet. Mr. Light wants to leave the house, but for some reason all the doors and windows are locked and he can't seem to find his way out of that house. He's bumping around all the walls. He's like, where's the door? He can't even find the door. He's actually blind. Okay, we'll make that an aspect of this story. Mr. Light is actually blind and he can't find the doors, and he's also really stuck. He just can't get out of this house. This house is just sucking him in, and the house is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and Mr. Light just can't escape. So because Mr. Light is really fast and he's really trying to just get out of these walls and he's running at them, he's trying to bulldozed them down. He's like a professional wrestler. He's trying to break his way out of this house, but nothing is working. On top of all this, think of the house being filled with all of this furniture. There's all this stuff inside the house that's really just compressing all of the space. And there's so very little room to move, but Mr. Light is just trying to move around. Everything's bumping, everything's banging against each other, until finally there's a giant explosion. Everything goes up in a giant blast of light. And then all of a sudden, it's as if all of that bumping and bruising and banging against walls and barriers, it just starts collapsing in on itself. All of the matter and all of the things that are in that space start to get sucked into this very tiny space. Because the space was so compressed, that explosion just creates a huge mega compression of space that sucks everything into itself. And you have a black hole. Mr. Light has passed away, by the way. That's something that you should know. It's a very tragic story. It has a very tragic ending. It's no Disney story, at least. Disney? I mean, if you want to commission a story out of it, please email me. Link in the description. Anyways, you may know a lot about black holes. And you may already know all of that there is to know about how black holes work, how they function. You may have seen them, and you may know that black holes are often stationary, in that they don't move. So they are really kind of terrifying objects because their speed, the speed at which you get pulled into a black hole, is so fast. I mean, you can't escape it. Light can't escape the force of gravity of a black hole. So nothing can really get out. So it sounds really terrifying, right? Well, most often black holes are frozen in place. And there are very few exceptions to that, except one. Scientists at Harvard and Smithsonian have found that there is a black hole in a distant galaxy far, far away. Get the reference? That is not stationary, but is actually moving. And it's moving very fast. The terminology they want to use is that it is a supermassive black hole. That's a really large black hole. And it is in motion. I used in twice to further confuse you. In motion means that it's moving. To give you some numbers that further highlight how terrifying this is, it is 230 million light years away. 3 million times bigger than the sun, that big boy up in the sky that gives us light, and it moves at 110,000 miles per hour. I just threw a bunch of numbers at you to confuse you. What do those numbers actually mean? Well, let's go crunch them with some math yoga. Well, using my totally not Google-reliant yoga brain, I determined that the sun's mass is approximately 1.89 times 10 to the 30th kilograms. So if I do all of that and use my yoga brain calculator, totally not Desmos.com, I can determine that 1.989 times 10 to the 30th power multiplied by 3 million gives me 5.967 times 10 to the 36th power. But that still doesn't tell me how huge this black hole is. That still doesn't put it into proportion. Now, I was thinking about the sun's mass in kilograms. So let's think about the penny's mass in kilograms as well. So a penny, using my yoga brain, is 0.00250 kilograms. So if I take that and I multiply it by 3 million, I get 7,500 kilograms, or 7,500 kilograms. So what is an object that weighs 7,500 kilograms? Well, using my knowledge of adult African elephants and how much they weigh, I know that the heaviest an adult African elephant can weigh is 6,300 kilograms. So 7,500 kilograms is a little bit heavier than that. So that gives me a visual that an adult African elephant is obviously way bigger than a United States penny. So the United States penny would be the sun, and the slightly bigger adult African elephant would be the moving black hole. Oh. But now what about that speed? 110,000 miles per hour. How fast is that, and how can I visualize that? How can I see that using my yoga thought brain? I can conclude that 110,000 is a very massive number. Probably can't even visualize that. Well, after crunching all of those numbers in math yoga, I guess there's one very big conclusion we can all come to. It's that we are all very tiny, 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 insignificant specks in a giant universe that will one day swallow us like tiny, tiny crumbs of Cap'n Crunch or Fruity Pebbles. My favorite cereal was always Lucky Charms because I like the marshmallows in it, and I also like the Cookie Crisps. Once again, they are not sponsoring this episode, but you can email me and get an endorsement deal. So the conclusion here really is that this is a giant object in space. It's very horrifying. It sucks all the matter into it like any black hole would, but it's moving, and it's moving very quickly. There's really nothing stopping this thing from coming to our solar system and devouring all of us, like that cereal I was mentioning earlier, eating all of us like a freshly made peanut butter and jelly sandwich. However, to truly appreciate and understand how just insane it is that this thing is moving, and this is just a horrifying object that's out there in space that could get us at any moment, let's watch this video by NASA of what it would be like to travel around a black hole. Okay, so this is, according to NASA, what it would be like to fly around a black hole. A stationary one, not a moving one, but one that's actually like a normal black hole. Looks really crazy. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how crazy that is. Look at all of the... Is that... So that is... must be the reflection of light. So maybe it's trapped light. That is so crazy. And it's just being reflected off of everything. We can also, I believe, yes, we can move around too. This is so cool. Oh, I accidentally paused it. Wow. Look at that. And we're flying away. No. This is scientifically improbable, by the way. Nothing would be able to escape the gravitational pull of a black hole. This is unrealistic, but really cool. I just think the scariest part about this is just imagining what would happen if this moving black hole decided at any point in its journey, let me just veer a little left so I can go into that solar system over there, because it looks like there's a very nutritious, delicious planet with trees, vegetables, and water to quench my thirst. If anybody here reads Marvel Comics, you know about the character Galactus. He's basically this big guy in big purple, stupid, goofy looking armor that goes around eating planets. That's what he does. He just eats planets. Like, Silver Surfer, you probably know who that is if you know Fantastic Four. You got the Silver Surfer going to Earth being like, hey, everybody, Galactus is coming here to eat your planet. Bow down before the guy who's about to just murder all of you and eat your home. And then he comes over there pretty much with a knife and fork, devouring the planet like a nice steak dinner. That's what I'm thinking of as I'm thinking of this black hole just moving throughout space, eating whatever is in its path, if I can speak English. So what do you guys think of this? What do you think of the idea of a moving black hole? What if there was a news report that came out one day that said that this black hole will come to our solar system? We would probably just kiss our butts goodbye. Kiss our lives goodbye, because it will all be over before we know it. Very depressing. We would all have to go into end of the world mode, and everybody would have to just armor up. They have to do like in those movies where people are sort of just like, they're like warriors, like end of the world warriors fighting for survival. Like in Gravity Falls, that's pretty much what happened at the end of Gravity Falls. Everybody was like, it's the end of the world, go crazy. And then crime happens. It'd be that type of incident. Or The Purge. Except The Purge was a lot more horrifying. Yeah, we would all just, it would not be a good time. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. And as always, you can support the show by supporting my Patreon and my other social medias down in the description below. You can also like and subscribe for more content like this. And I will see you all in the next one. Stay motivated.